Okay, guys, today we're going to talk about knowing your purpose, right? And most people just whatever aspect of life you're in, and this is going to be for my athletes, right? Because I was a former athlete, and I'm going to just walk you guys through this. Whenever you jump into business, whatever it is that you might jump into, you don't fail, for one, if you don't give up. But for two, you don't fail because you don't have the skill sets or that you're incapable of doing something. Um, you fail because you're unaware, right? Or we're unaware. Let me check that. We're unaware, right? We fail because we're unaware. Unaware of what, you may ask. Unaware of what drives us, unaware of what sabotages us, and unaware of these loops that we repeat on autopilot every single day, right? And if you don't know your why, um, you know, when you're in business, when you're in entrepreneurship, when you're in these lanes that forces you to personally develop, it will strip you apart and expose you, right? So today, it's not about motivation. Today is about awareness, and today is about separating from the pack. Right. So today we're going to jump through these things. We're going to talk about your why, which is your personal foundation, your vision, who benefits from that, the patterns and loops, like what's actually running you, right? I believe it's like 70% of our days are on autopilot because our subconscious mind is taking over. Um, we're going to actually dive into the subconscious mind and the nervous system and why growth can feel like pressure at times. We're going to talk about how to expand your capacity, and then I'm going to give you some practical just prompts just for self-discovery. So we're going to jump in, and I want to jump into my journey, right? I want to get personal because I'm going to ask you guys to do that as well, and I have to be a leader and do that first, right? So this is just a little synopsis of my journey, right? For most of my life, my purpose was football, right? I thought the league was the finish line. I thought that's how I would make it, right? That's how I would take care of my family. That's how I would prove that I was enough, right? And I built my identity on being an athlete. Um, and when I didn't make it, professional for a long time, I didn't realize what that actually did to me internally, right? And it left me with something really, really heavy, and that was pressure. Right. Now, for my athletes, you might be thinking like, oh, like we love pressure, like, whatever the case may be. But it wasn't that type of pressure. It was the pressure to not waste potential. It was the pressure to not fail again. And it was the pressure of proving that all that I went through throughout those years of playing sports meant something. And if I'm being like 100% transparent with you guys, right, that pressure didn't just disappear when I stopped playing football, right? It followed me. And some of you know exactly what I mean, right? When life doesn't go the way you thought it would, um, and you could either go one or two ways. You could either grieve it and grow, or you could do what most of us do and carry it, and then it becomes anxiety, avoidance, self-sabotage, right? So I want to jump into your why, right? And the first truth of today is your why is not money, is not, your rank or your promotion level within your company or whatever the case may be. It's not the lifestyle that you want to live. Those are all just outcomes, right? Your why is something that's going to make you move and do something, even if nobody like congratulated you, you wasn't recognized, you didn't get any awards for it, anything like that, right? And your why is usually connected to one of these things, right? It's connected to a pain that you felt, it's connected to a promise that you made to yourself that you didn't fulfill, it's rooted in a fear, and then it could be rooted in a refusal to become something, right? So for me, my reason became I refused to meet the man I was supposed to become and be strangers. And that's why I'm here to finish that assignment, right? And I was listening to Ed Milet, um, and he was talking about his version of what he think hell is, right? And it was him making it to heaven and God showing him this individual that he was supposed to become, and they're complete strangers. And I thought about that. I was like, imagine living eternity knowing you were supposed to become this individual that God wanted you to be, and you simply didn't do it, and you have to spend the rest of your life thinking like, dang, why didn't I become that person? And that gets really deep. So, and I want you guys to hear me clearly. Like your why has to be personal before it can become powerful. And if it's not personal, it won't survive, the pressures of life and all the different things that come about life, right? Because if your why was truly strong enough, right, you wouldn't feel stuck, right? And you wouldn't feel, like I don't feel like doing this, and you don't do something. Because when your why is strong enough, it's gonna push you through all the bad times, no matter what. Right. Now the second layer of this all, if your why is about you, your vision is about who benefits when you win. Right. So your why is an internal fire, what's driving you, what's motivating you, whatever the case may be. And I use the word motivate loosely, right? And your vision is the external impact, right? So I want to ask you this question. I want you to really think about it. Who becomes more free when you decide not to quit? Who becomes more free when you decide not to quit? Because what I realize is the transition out of sports is I'm not here to perform anymore. I'm here to teach, right? So just diving into me a little bit, I want middle and lower class families to stop being taken advantage of as consumers and start operating as owners, right? And not just ownership of a business or whatever the case may be, but ownership of their life and the trajectory in which they choose for it to go, right? And I want people to know that they don't have to be an entertainer or a sports athlete or a performer or all these things that, where I'm from, that we see as the way to be successful and to become wealthy. You don't have to do that, right? And I want to teach people the phrase I always use is cash. I actually learned this from one of my great mentors, and it's knowledge, attitude, standards, and habits, right? That's the vision, right? So here's your moment. Like if you succeed at whatever you're doing right now, whatever it is, who wins besides you? Take yourself out of the equation. Who will win because of that? Like who will truly win because of that? Right. So now I want to talk about patterns and loops because this is where separation actually happens, right? And when you don't know your why, you don't become consistent, and we become patterned individuals and we operate in loops, right? So there's usually a trigger, then there's emotion, then there's escape, then there's temporary relief, then there's a guilt, and then you repeat, right? And that escape can look like procrastination, doom scrolling, disappearing, or I'll just start it, next week or next month or next year. You start overthinking, or you even use numbing habits. You use things that numb your mind from thinking and things like that, right? Um, and I'm going to give you guys some tangibles and some things I internally found out about myself, right? When I was thinking about becoming the man I was supposed to be, right? And not wasting potential. And I'm thinking about all these milestones and things I wanted to hit. Um, the pressure and the emotion was I can't mess this up. And my nervous system response was to freeze and go into protection mode. You guys have heard of flight or fight, right? And my behavior and the things that I was actually doing was over analyzing, delaying. Let me fine tune this a little more. Let me plan this a little more instead of just executing it, right? And I was feeling productive because I was thinking, right? And then the aftermath was I was frustrated. I wasn't getting the results I wanted. I started to self-criticize, and I started to tell myself I need to go harder. I need to work harder. And that was my biggest business loop of things, right? Now I want to identify a different one that I self-discovered was my identity threat loop, right? So any situation that resembled performance evaluation, right? Because I came from sports. So anytime it was anything evaluated on performance, my subconscious thought was if I fail here, it confirms the football story, which I was close. I made it to college, but I didn't make it to that next level. I was so close, right? And my body's reaction was it felt the pressure. And what was the response? Caution, slow down. I'm protecting you, right? And it wasn't laziness, it was my nervous system avoiding re-injury, right? And your nervous system, once you dive into like your just the mind and how it works, the number one thing it wants to do is to protect you, and then it wants to make things as simple as possible, right? At our very core, our mind it's built to protect us from injury, from harm, from hurt, whatever the case may be. And it's to simplify things, which is why your subconscious mind drives everything that you do from the for the most part, and that you're gonna be on autopilot. You do the same things over and over, right? Because it wants to automate your day. It makes your brain efficient, right? And we're not when you're not aware of your subconscious and what it's doing, that's why you repeat those loops, right? And the root of the patterns that I was, under it all tied back to I was trying to avoid reliving the feeling of almost making it, almost finishing the job, almost becoming the person that made it pro and set my family, up to be wealthy, right? So my nervous system had learned that it's better to delay than to fail again. It was protecting me, right? And the two ways I was able to break that loop was number one, I named the unfinished promise that I made to myself, which was to set my family up for financial success by being a professional athlete. And then number two, I shifted my mindset from trying to prove that to I need to build. And I moved from I need to win to I get to build. And you can build whatever it is that you want to build. And notice the language. I need to and I get to. And I want to dive into that a little more, right? So when I move from I need to win to I get to build, that shift wasn't motivational talk. It helped me in from a neurological standpoint, right? So when I say I need to hit this milestone, I need to hit this amount of cash flow, I need to do this, right? My body and my mind wasn't hearing ambition, right? And sometimes we think that we're speaking as we're trying to be ambitious, but our nervous system, what it hears and what it picks up is it's a threat. And the word need is going to signal urgency, right? And we need urgency in our life, but from a mindset standpoint, think about it. It's going to signal survival. It signals there's a consequence when you say I need to. And your brain is going to interpret that as if this doesn't happen, something's wrong. And then your brain senses something is wrong and it activates survival mode, right? So that survival mode, it can show up as different things, right? It can show up as pressure. It can show up as avoidance. It can show up as isolation, or you're trying to force a specific result or outcome. So even though like I was pushing myself, I was actually putting my nervous system into protection mode. Now, when I changed from using I need to language to I get to, right, it signals choice, opportunity, permission, and the belief and the ability that you and I can choose, act, and influence our direction, which is what we all want. We all want to have a say so in our life and what we can do. And when you say the word I get to, your brain hears this. Oh, we're choosing this. I'm not under threat. I'm operating from an ownership standpoint. And when your brain feels safe, it activates calm focus. And you need focus, not survival. You need focus, right? And just using I get to is a builder's language. Builders think long term. Builders operate from process. Builders don't panic over repetition, right? And I was operating like I was still being evaluated. But when you get into the realm of entrepreneurship and business, it's not a championship game. It's a construction site. right? It's a construction site. And for me, using the word need was connected to football. It was connecting to not wasting potential. It was connected to not failing again, right? So every time I said I need to, my body felt like I was back in that performance environment and it created pressure, right? And language shapes your meaning shapes emotion, emotion shapes how your body is going to function, which then shapes your behavior. So when you change your language, you can change your nervous system. And when you change your nervous system, you can change and elevate and grow your capacity. Um, and I want you guys to start testing this because instead of saying, I need to do this, say, I get to. Man, I need to go to the gym so I can lose weight. Man, I get to go to the gym so I can make sure my mind and my body and my spirit is better and it's growing. Oh, I need to make this amount of money this year. No, I get to develop the skill set that's going to allow me to get to that, that allows me to make that type of money, right? One side is going to build pressure, the other side is going to build your capacity to reach whatever goals you have for yourself, right? So using the word need is survival language. Using the words get to is ownership language. And when you're in the ownership standpoint and you think in the way of owners think, you build differently than performers do, right? And I want to dive into the subconscious mind and nervous system because your subconscious doesn't care about your goals. It really doesn't. It cares about your safety, right? It wants oh, I can't talk. It wants to be familiar, right? It wants to be predictable and it wants comfort, right? And growth, when you're growing, it feels like risk, it feels like exposure, it feels like rejection, it feels like uncertainty, right? So when you go to lead, when you go to maybe make a post on social media about something, your nervous system might interpret that as danger. So that's why when you're going to do those things, you feel this pressure, this tightness inside. You hesitate. You start getting this mental fog. You get the urge to just avoid it and do it later and not want to do it. And that's not you being weak. That's just your nervous system protecting you from what it thinks will hurt you. And I realized something about myself, right? My nervous system was trained through football to associate performance with identity. It was associated with performance, with identity. So when I started growing just in the business sense, my body felt pressure like I was back on the field. And when I felt pressure, my instinct wasn't to attack, it was to slow down and protect myself, which led to overthinking, pulling inward, isolation, seeking relief. It is not because I was weak, it's because my nervous system was protecting me from meaningful failure. And what, dude, like once I understood that, like everything started to change. Cause now I don't have to try to hype myself up. I can just train my nervous system through reps, one rep at a time. And over time, my capacity expands, right? Our nervous system will always choose safety over potential unless you train it to do otherwise, right? And this is why, like, most people seek out, mental coaching and like all these different things because they understand they have to be able to control this and understand what's going on up here to be able to be successful, right? So what do we do? How do we train the nervous system? Our capacity is going to expand through repetition, exposure, and regulation, right? So in simple terms, think of the gym. You can't go from doing 135 to 315 overnight. You build reps. And it's the same way in business and whatever you're trying to do, right? You do one thing at a time, one rep at a time, right? Even when it's uncomfortable, and every rep teaches your body, I'm safe to grow. I'm safe to grow. And the most successful people, they aren't the most talented. They're just the most regulated, right? And you expand your capacity through identifying the true feeling of what's going on, right? So instead of, I just don't feel like doing something, right? So for example, right, like me, it wasn't I lack discipline. It's the truth was I was seeking relief because my capacity didn't expand yet, right? Like it didn't expand. Like it wasn't, oh man, I need to be more disciplined. No, I was just seeking relief because my capacity hasn't expanded yet to be able to handle that. So I needed to improve that. And how? I needed to stay present whenever I felt pressure. I needed to start taking small reps instead of just avoiding it. And then I had to repeat that consistently. Every time I felt pressure, stay present. Stay present in it. Like stay present in it, right? Like you ever been like at like working out and you're like at the very like you're like, man, I don't even know if I can get one more rep. Like, what did you just like leave the gym and like, I'm done, right? Like you just left your teammates and said, I'm not doing it. No, you like got up under the rack, you grabbed a weight, and like you just did it. Your body was like, "Hey man, you're at the capacity. You can't go anymore, right?" Which is why like football is such a good teacher of this, right? And when you translate this to your life properly, like you can be so successful, right? Like you got under the squat rack, you was like, "Man, my legs hurt. I don't even know if I can do this." But boom, you just go down, and then you get up, and like you're so like hype, you know what I'm saying? Because you overrid your mind. And what did that teach your body? Hey, whenever we get to this point, it's okay to go like a little further. Like we're not gonna hurt ourselves, like I promise. Like we're getting better. Like this is what getting better feels like. You have to do that, right? Um, so every time, you sit with discomfort, instead of escaping, stay. Just stay there, sit in it, and I promise you that's going to increase your capacity, right? And if you don't know your why, you know, if you're in entrepreneurship, if you're in business, it will expose you. It will expose you, right? In a sense of it will expose your inconsistency. It will expose your loops. It will expose your comfort addiction. It will, expose your fear of rejection, which is why I love entrepreneurship and business so much because it's one of those things where you have to personally develop to be successful. And I love personal development. Like we should all love personal development. Um, and if you don't know why, you're doing something, um, you're not going to be able to move forward, like honestly, right? But if you do know, like if you're in the business and you're in the entrepreneurship space, it will multiply you, right? And I'm not talking about money first. It will multiply your identity, it will multiply your discipline, it will multiply your leadership, and it will multiply, your legacy, right? Because the real win in entrepreneurship and business is not, the money and all those things. Like, yeah, those are great outcomes, but it's the real win is becoming the person you were meant to be throughout that process. Like that's the true win, right? And like if you're watching this, like I want you to take some time and like write your why, write your vision, right? Identify at least one like loop that's going on, right? That you need to like identify and like fix, right? And choose one rep per day, just one. The power of one, just one, right? And watch what God does with consistency. Watch what God does with consistency, man. It's gonna change everything, right? With that being said, I want you to answer these questions, right? And you can pause the video if you're watching it, or if you have a paper and pen, you can write this down. The first question I want you to answer is, what do you refuse to become? I'm gonna repeat that one more time. What do you refuse to become? Right. Number two, what pain shapes your relationship with money, time, or freedom? What pain shapes your relationship with money, time, or freedom? Question number three. Who are you still trying to prove something to? Who are you still trying to prove something to? Number four, who is your I can't let them lose group? Who is your I can't let them lose group? Question number five. If income was guaranteed, what would you still teach? If income was guaranteed, what would you still teach? And the last question, question number six, what does freedom mean to you in one sentence? Now, don't overthink this. Just truth only, right? Like you want to spend roughly about 60 to 90 seconds answering these, right? And then I want you to look at what you wrote down. So pause this video for 60 to 90 seconds, about a minute, or so. Look at what you wrote down. That is your why trying to speak, right? Now I'm going to give you a really good tangible, right, that you can use. Okay. So this is an extreme tangible that I not extreme tangible, but a tangible that I want you to use right now. Go to your chat GBT and you're going to pause it, screenshot it, and put in, you can copy and paste this into your chat GPT, right? And I want you guys to use this, right? Act as an expert mental performance coach. Help me uncover who I really am, what my why is rooted in, what subconscious patterns are keeping me stuck. I want a deep, honest self-discovery process. Ask me probing questions and don't let me give surface level answers. Now, for the one percenters who made it to the end of this video, use this and answer like answer truthfully, right? Like answer truthfully. And you know, when you do this, like it's going to ask you some like internal like provoking questions. And it's okay. Like you need like I promise you, if you go through this and you use this as a tool, man, it will help you in whatever capacity that you are in whatever space that you're operating in. Because now you're going to really see why you've been doing what you're doing, why you are where you are, and why you haven't made it to that level where you're trying to get to. And that's me, that's myself included. Like, I had to go internally, like, search, like, what is my why? Why do I think the way I think? Why do I do things the way I do them? Like, who am I, like, at the core, man? And once you understand, like, who you are, like, at the core, like, man, it's gonna release a lot of pain and pressure, right? And some of you might be thinking, oh well, I'm God's child. I'm a child of God. I'm this. I'm, a God-fearing husband, wife, brother, sister, sibling, whatever the case may be, like, or whatever, faith, I'm a Christian, so that's why I say that, but whatever faith you are or religion that you participate in, is that like who your persona is, or is that like who you are like internally? Because everybody's different. Everybody has different, life upbringings, situations they've been through, trauma, pain, whatever, that's literally shaped them to where they are now. And throughout your childhood, you're learning these things from your parents, your siblings, your grandparents, your circle of friends or sphere of influences, right? And it goes into your subconscious mind and you don't think subconsciously. You always think in the conscious mind, which is the logic, which is what you control. The subconscious is what runs your everyday operation and why you operate and do what you do. So, with that being said, man, I hope this video helped. Like, I got something from this. I pray that you got something from this. And if you made it this far, like I said, you're a one percenter. You wanna win. You want to succeed. You wanna, you know, go attack life and get everything out of it that you want it to be. Right? So don't come this far to come this far. I promise you, leverage this prompt, go into ChatGPT, and it's going to be really, really good if you've already been using it and it kind of knows who you are as a person. And you ask it this, yeah, it's going to be really, really good. So with that being said, man, I'll see you guys in the next video. It's your boy KJ, and man, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.